Yeah, it's mindset cafe, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy, Devin. Today, we actually don't have our co-star for our live, but that's all good. He's on a little vacay with his new fiance, so wishing him all the best. So today's episode, I know normally we do it on Friday nights, but because of scheduling and because of other work and stuff, that it had to be moved to today. So I appreciate you guys, tuning in today and bearing with us while we adapt to this week's schedule, right? So two things. One, we're going to talk about on this episode is adaptability and what that means in terms of success and your success in your life, because, it's one of those things where this week for me and next week for me is a perfect example. So, I do want to touch base on that a little bit, because I think a lot of people do start to tend to, do the whole woe is me and, my week is crazy, and they start to let things slide, or they use that as an excuse when it's really not, right? So that's going to be the first part. The other thing that I really want to try to do today, which I know we do a little bit on some of the other episodes, but I really want today to be one of those things where you guys help me out in terms of asking questions, and not just related to adaptability and success and stuff like that, but anything from, personal development, anything on mindset, meditation, whatever the case may be in your scenario, and have this really like a true Q&A, right? I know we try to get you guys to go into the comments and stuff, but really do more of a Q&A style where I'm going to take some of the questions. There's been a lot of questions I've gotten over this week, being in the gym and working in my gym, where me and Nick usually work, right? So I've been answering a lot of questions from members and stuff, dealing with, from nutrition plans to their workouts, to how to adapt the workouts, to how to increase, how to break plateaus, but also into like mindset, and then going into, like the entrepreneur side with the franchisees and stuff like that, and how to delegate and other areas. So today's going to be more of that Q&A style, answering some of those random questions, so it'll be a little bit all over the place in terms of what we're talking about. But before we go into all of that, let's, cover the main topic, which is going to be adaptability, right? Last night, we didn't do the live like Nick and I normally do, right? We had to adapt to the week, because since Nick is in Hawaii and he's out there, my work is basically I'm taking on both of our stuff, and that's how it happens in a business partnership, just like it happens in a relationship, with me and my wife. Right now, I'm working more, so she's, covering more of the responsibilities at home, right? So we adapt, right? And that's the thing that you have to realize in life, is that not every week is going to be a perfect week. Not every week is going to be one of those things where you have a plan and it goes according to plan the entire time. So you have to learn to adapt and not just be like, this is just so much, I can't do all these other things. If you have commitments, like, I have a commitment to the episode of doing a live with you guys, right? If I had this commitment, and just because my week was crazy, I could have as easily as said, nah, I'm not going to do it this week. You know what? Let me just take a week off. And believe me, I contemplated it, right? I was like, what? This week is crazy. I don't want to do a live today. I don't want to do a live this weekend. I'll do it next week. But then that voice in the back of my head was telling me, is like, how can you get on the Mindset Cafe and talk about, perseverance and discipline and no excuses and all these things, and then all of a sudden you face a difficult in your week, and now you're gonna fall trapped to basically what you're preaching about, right? So that's why I adapted to doing it today. My schedule just didn't permit it yesterday, but I'm making it work. We're doing it today. So that's why for me, we're running it the day we're running it. But you have to realize that, in a relationship, in a business partnership, in a friendship, right? It's not always 50-50, right? It's 50-50 in the sense of both of you guys are committed, right? Whether it's a relationship or, like mine and Nick's case, a business partnership, which is, again, like I always joke around, it's kind of like a relationship as well. But yes, we're both committed, the same amount. But the workload in a given week, in a given month, in a given time frame isn't always going to be 50-50. And that's okay, because some weeks it might be 90-10, and then the next week it might be 10-90, right? Talking about person one, person two, and then it might be 50-50 or 60-40, but that's okay, because when one person is having an off week or one person has, more on their plate, the other person picks up the slack, because that's what a team is about, right? You guys do this together. What up, Deco? Thank you for jumping in. Again, so today's episode, I want to talk about your adaptability and your accountability, holding yourself to it, but I do want to really treat this like a Q&A. So not only going into the questions that I've been getting all week long, but I really want to cover any questions that have been on your mind, whether it's in your own personal development journey, whether it's in your entrepreneurial journey, whether it's in your nutrition or your fitness or anything like that. So today I want to really treat like a true Q&A. And if, the questions and the comments aren't really coming in as much, then today's going to end up being a shorter episode, right? So this really kind of dictates on everyone that starts hopping in and stuff. So going into, while you guys start thinking about questions and stuff like that, going into adaptability, right? Success isn't always the easiest journey. Your success journey is different than my success journey. Mine and Nick's journey is going to be different than a different business partnership, right? Your entrepreneurial journey is different than mine. Your fitness journey is different than mine, right? But at the same time, we all have to face similar hurdles. And all those hurdles are faced through perseverance, through commitment, through dedication. But at the same time, realizing that you have a network, or that you should develop a network, so that you can lean on them in times of need, so you can basically overcome hurdles a little bit faster, right? Deco, I know you're watching. I want you to, let me know how in the comments how your entrepreneurial journey is going so far since our last talk, right? But knowing that you have a support system, they are going to hold you accountable naturally. But you have to also realize that if you can't hold yourself accountable, no one's going to be able to force you to do the things you need to do, right? The first step is being self-accountable. So just like today's episode, I committed to doing a live episode a week. So I held myself accountable, even though I didn't want to, even though I try to give myself excuses not to do it, right? It's one of those things where, again, Nick and I are no different than anyone else. There's a lot of mornings that I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this shit today. That's just naturally how it is, right? You're not always going to feel like you want to do it. But whether I felt like doing this live episode or not was besides the point. My commitment was to do a live episode. You guys have questions, I want to be able to answer them and talk about them, right? So again, for people hopping into the episode, today's episode is going to be more of a Q&A, but also talking about, accountability and stuff in between any of the people hopping in. So while you guys think of your questions on your personal development journey, on your nutrition, on your fitness, any of those aspects, on your mindset, on your entrepreneurial journey, whatever the case is, any questions you got, I want to talk about them today. I want today to be a little bit more of a free flow episode versus super structured like it normally is in terms of the lives. So I'm going to put it up on the banner so I don't have to keep saying this real quick. So bear with me for 1 sec. So yeah, any questions, I'm putting it up on the banner so I don't have to keep repeating this, but any questions you guys have on personal development, mindset, fitness, anything like that, that's today's, live episode. I want to answer anything that I can. I'm going to answer some of the questions that I've gotten over this week, even though I've already given the answer to that person. I want to cover it with, everybody so that you guys can, all have the answers and hopefully it'll generate some more questions. But anything that you guys have faced or are facing in relation to your development, your growth, your success. Today's one of the days I want to talk about it and really go into any Q&As you guys want to do. So let me just get this up real quick. Perfect. There we go. Boom. So with that being said, you guys ask away, please help me out on this one. Yes, it has been a long week. Yes, it will continue to be a long week, because like I said, Nick is out of town. And when one person's out of town, for us, the other person has to pick up a little more slack, but at the same time, we adapt. So that's what I was saying before is, again, some weeks it's 50-40, some weeks it's 50-50, some weeks it's 90-10. But at the end of the day, it's all teamwork. We do this because we have a commitment to each other as well as to our goal, our joint goal, right? So with your journey to success, with your journey that you're currently on, are you being self-accountable? Are you holding yourself to the things that you said you were going to do? Because it's easy. Like I said, I didn't want to do this episode. I didn't want to, there's still a handful of things I still have to do. But again, I had to take that little bitch voice out and say, no, this is what I told myself I was going to do this. I'm going to do this. So that's where we're at right now, right? So I want to answer any of those questions that you guys got. So free flow them. Let's go with them. There we go. Fix the banner. Sorry, my voice sounds a little rasp. It's from, yelling and pushing all the members that are in here. So until we get some questions in and everything, I want you guys to really think about your busy week, right? When was the last time that you had a busy week? And during that busy week, did you give yourself the out? Did you give yourself the excuse of, man, you know what? I'm not going to meal prep this week. I'm just not going to, I'm not going to work out as many days. Like my week's really tough, right? Are you giving yourself that out just because it's the easy way? Or are you realizing that you have goals and that you have to stick to them regardless of your feelings, regardless of your emotions, regardless of your external forces and external factors that are going on in your life, right? What do you got going on, that is really that much more important than your goals, right? Because if they're that much more important than your goals and you can't intertwine and fix your goals around that, then what are you doing, right? Are those really your goals? If you have a goal, if you had a New Year's resolution this year, which I feel like everyone does, have you conquered it? Are you still on that journey to conquering it? Because New Year's is going to roll around in, a few months, and everyone's going to set the same New Year's resolutions that they set every single year. And this shit starts to bug me. It's like, this year I'm going to start working out, or this year I'm going to start eating clean. This year I'm going to do this. And it's like, shit, you said that the last 5 years. You said that, I remember you saying that last year. I didn't see you do a single thing towards that, right? So what are you going to do differently now to the end of the year to hold yourself accountable to what you said you were going to do this year, right? I mean, there's no one that's going to just give you your goals. No one's going to just give you success. No one's just going to give you the dream body that you want. You have to put in the fucking work to get it. And if you really want it that bad, then there shouldn't be an excuse, right? One of my core values is, having an impact. And one of the ways that we do that is that, how I do that is through the podcast. So for me, that this is one of those things where even though I didn't want to do it, I was like, this is something that I have to do because this is one of my fueling factors, right? It was important to me to do it. As easy as it would have been just to take a day off. Right. So make sure you guys are holding yourself accountable. I don't want to dwell too much into that, but honestly, I can't stress it enough because that shit is the most annoying thing to hear people talk about on social media and talk about in person and talk about, and all of a sudden you see them telling you all these extravagant things and then you see no change in what they're trying to do. You're not seeing or, hearing, they're not doing anything to actually move the needle forward in getting uncomfortable to, achieve that goal. Because achieving your goals in any form or fashion is going to be uncomfortable. I promise you. You want the dream body? Well, guess what? Eating clean sucks. It's not as fun, right? Do you do it because you want the goal? Yes. You want to be an entrepreneur and you think it's, an easy route? Better think fucking twice. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. I promise you. So as much as social media glorifies it and says how easy it is, or just such as, social media makes it seem so easy to get a six pack and all these things, it's not that easy. But because it's not that easy and because you have to make yourself uncomfortable in getting yourself to the end destination of becoming a successful entrepreneur, to running a business, right? Because if you don't have a team, you don't have employees, then you just have a job, right? So if you want to get uncomfortable and then you want to have your dream body, again, it sucks during the process, but over time it gets less sucky because you're building up these habits, right? And once you start seeing results, once you start seeing that needle move forward, then you start to realize that it's all worth it, and trusting the process is really what you have to do, right? And when you trust the process and you do it regardless of how you feel, and then you see the results, it makes it worth it. Like I like to say, my 50 Cent quote, right? I forget what song it was in, but it was sunshine wouldn't be so great if it wasn't for rain, right? You wouldn't appreciate a summer day if you didn't have winter days, right? You wouldn't appreciate rain if you didn't have, like we've had in LA and Los Angeles, these 15 day, what it felt like. I don't really know if it was that hot, but 115 degree days, right? I would love a rainy day right now. So you have to realize that uncomfort and that pushing yourself to a point. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that, guys. So you have to push yourself to a level of uncomfort to actually see the results. And then the results that you get are worth it because of all the work and all the sacrifice, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into that thing, right? It makes it worth it. It makes you proud of achieving it. If it was just given to you, then you're not going to feel that that feeling of accomplishment, right? Oh, here we go. First comment. Thank you, Deco. Today's Q&A. Make sure you guys are hopping in the questions. So Deco says, so far the entrepreneurial journey has been a grind. I've had great success with one of my clients. However, I found myself getting off track on a few KPIs that I set for myself. Found myself drifting. That's honestly, Deco, that's part of the journey. That's part of the thing you're going to have to realize with being an entrepreneur. Yes, you don't have a boss to answer to, but at the same time, you got a family, you got a goal, you got, other things that you have to answer to yourself for not achieving them. So when you notice that you're starting to drift, because everyone daydreams, you have to snap yourself back in. And the easy way to do that is, go outside for a 5-minute walk, just change the task that you're doing, right? If you're calling leads, if you're, let's say if you're doing presentations or if you're researching, and you're starting to drift or you're starting to daydream, switch the task. The easiest way to keep yourself engaged is to time block where your attention span, when you start to notice, is, after an hour or 2 hours of doing something, you start to, kind of slow down. It's like, okay, change task, come back to that in a little bit, and then keep going forward. Right. And with that, you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs, especially being an entrepreneur, and I told you this when we talked on the phone too, and we've had this conversation a few times. Entrepreneurship, it's worth it if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to basically go through the grind, because being an entrepreneur is a grind. It's not an easy journey, right? Just like fitness. And that's why I like relating the two, because they're so closely similar. And that's why a lot of successful entrepreneurs, especially now that you see them on social media, what are they doing? they're fit, right? They're working out. Why? Because it stimulates the mind, it gets the blood flowing, but also it's building habits that you don't build outside of fitness necessarily, or you can, but they're directly related in terms of business, right? So you have to think like dedication. You're to work out, you got to stay dedicated. You got to stay committed to, coming in and committing to coming in on the days that you don't want to. Just like being an entrepreneur, you don't have a boss, you don't have to clock in necessarily, but you still have to stay dedicated and committed on the days that you don't want to, right? And then the other thing that relates to fitness and entrepreneurship is going to be that delayed gratification. Just because you did one day great at the office doesn't mean you're successful. You may have had success in the day, but it doesn't mean you're successful, right? Yet, just like you may have had a great workout today and you're sore and everything like that, but it doesn't mean you have your dream body yet. Time and time after you do it, day after day, you start to see the changes. You start to notice the accumulation of all the work put in. I mean, that's how entrepreneurship is. That's how fitness is. That's how mindset is. It's an accumulation of the day in and day out things that you do and the habits that you start to build that you start to notice, right? And you won't notice them if you only do it for a week. You're not going to be a successful entrepreneur if you only give it your all for a week. It's not, being an entrepreneur is not a get rich quick scheme or, get rich quick, pipe dream. Like, there is work. You're trading a 9 to 5 for a 24/7. And if you're not ready to sacrifice time, whether it's time with the family, time at, a baseball game, because I know your son plays baseball, and stuff like that, when needed, realize that you're only putting one foot into the pool, right? Your competitor is willing to sacrifice that. So, believe me, man, it's one of those things where it's tough. It is tough, Tico, but I promise you, it will pay off. If you start to find yourself daydreaming and shifting your attention, switch it up. Easiest way I can say it. I mean, we use a software. I'll attach it to like the video afterwards, but it's a way for us to see, for Nick and I to see like the tasks that we have to do, whether today or just in the next, month or whatever. And so you can start working on one task, you start, daydreaming, drifting out of it, then pick a different task, start chipping away at it. Right. And that's one of the easiest ways I can say that. Right. And then now you said, I like that. I traded a 9 to 5 for a 24/7, deserves to be on a t-shirt. 100%, honestly. And that's a lot of people say a lot of businesses fail and entrepreneurs fail, but it's because of the lack of awareness of how much work really goes into it. Right. And so people think it's this easy thing that they can, open their doors and they're going to get customers. It doesn't work that way. So when people realize how hard it is, people in the entrepreneur space, they think that they're just gonna be his boss and just tell their staff and their team what to do, and then they're just gonna sit back and with their feet up. It doesn't work that way. You're not gonna build the culture. You're not gonna build the environment that people are gonna want to work with you or for you, right? You should want your team to work for you, right? They want to impress you. They want to improve you. And then you should be doing the same. Everything that you're doing for the company and the business, you're trying to do to better the lives of your team or for your family and for your team's family, right? Going into the next Q&A. Let's see. I think this is Alejandra. How do microdoses of exercise, short frequency sessions compared to longer workouts? I would need a little more explanation on that, but I'm gonna go off of what I think you mean. I mean, if you can explain a little bit more in the comment, I'll definitely adjust my answer as you come in the comments. But I wouldn't say microdosing, But like doing a shorter workout, right, versus a longer workout, the benefits of the both, right? If you're doing longer workouts just to do them, and you notice that you're being a lot more social, let's say for, whether it's in a gym like our Strive or, at a, an LA Fitness or 24 or something like that, like a big box gym. People tell me this all the time. It's like, I go to the gym for an hour and a half, and it's like, awesome. I was like, you want to know how long I work out for? It's like 45 minutes to an hour. Whether I'm, if I'm at our gym, then, I do the 75 minutes, the full workout. But at the same time, if it's at a corporate gym, and I'm just lifting, then I'm in and out in like 45 minutes to an hour. And why is that? Because I'm not there to be social. If someone I know sees me, like, I'll say, what's up? How are you doing? Blah, 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 quick. And that's it. Like, I don't want to talk during the gym when I work out. That's me personally. I'm there to work out. Right. And so just because you're in the gym for longer doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, okay. So yeah, how do shorter workouts compare to longer workouts? Just because you're in the gym for longer doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Right? If you're actively doing stuff for a longer period of time, obviously you're going to burn more calories and you're going to break down the muscle depending on the workout, whether it's, let's say running, or if you're, lifting, or if you're doing HIIT like Strive. If you're doing it for longer, you'll break down the muscle and, you'll see more results. But at the same time, not everyone is at the fitness level, let's say, to do an hour workout. Right. And then you start to sacrifice form, you start to sacrifice your energy, and now you're kind of just going through the motions. And now pretty much you're just wasting time. So there's a benefit to doing a shorter workout if you need to, in that sense. If you can physically and your calendar for the day permits, do the full workout, right? Do the full workout here, or do the full workout that you intended to do when you initially started your workout. But I will say a benefit that people don't realize is that shorter workouts are still beneficial, very beneficial. And what I mean by that is people will skip an entire day at the gym, like whatever gym that they go to. People will skip an entire day at the gym just because they don't have a certain amount of time to work out. And honestly, I think that's the biggest cop-out. Right. I think that's the biggest cop out to be like, what? I don't have an hour. I don't have, an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's like, or 45 minutes. It's okay. Do you have 30 minutes? Do you have 20 minutes? Like whatever you do in that 20 minutes is going to be better than what you did, better than what you didn't do by skipping it. Right. So with our program here, I know a lot of you guys in the comments and stuff are members, but with anyone that's listening after the fact, like with our gym here, like you can do a 30-minute workout and then you can do a 75-minute workout. Our workout's broken into 3 different phases, right? You have the warm-up that's at your own pace. You have the 11 stations, which you can do 1 round or 2 rounds. Each round 1 through 11 is 30 minutes. So if you do just the stations themselves, that's an hour. And then we have the ab station or cool down station at the end, which is another 5-10 minutes. So in total, it could be upwards of 75 minutes. But again, someone coming in for their first day may not physically be able to do the full 2 rounds and do all the in-betweens and all that kind of stuff. And that's okay, right? Your schedule, you might have a busy day at work and you might only be able to make it into the gym for a 30-minute workout. Well, that's awesome. Then give it your all for that 30-minute workout. But if you're coming in for only a 30-minute workout, to any gym, and then you're half-assing it on top of that, realizing you're just wasting time, right? So does that kind of answer your question a little bit in terms of like the comparison of longer workouts or shorter workouts? It really just depends on the kind of workout, right? If your body can do the workout for longer, then do it. I know there's been a trend in our gym, you have to hit 1,000 calories. That's not necessarily the case. Like, I don't want you to skip a workout because you can't hit 1,000 calorie burn. If you hit 200 calories today, what's 200 calories that you wouldn't have hit if you skipped the gym in full, right? Because you got to think just like success, just like your fitness journey, just like your mindset journey, everything is an accumulation. So what I like to tell people is at the end of the week, you that's when you measure it, right? So it's like, how many calories did you eat this week? How many calories did you burn this week? And that's where you start to see the change. If you ate more calories than you burned, well, then you're probably going to end up gaining weight. If you burned more calories than you ate, well, then you're probably going to be losing weight, right? If you worked out, in full, like with all effort, 2 days in the week, well, that's not going to be as beneficial, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour, right? Then if you did 5 days in the week, it's an accumulation. But at the same time, breaking that down on the micro level of making sure that you're giving it everything you have when you're doing the workout. I'm not saying go to the point that you're throwing up, but if you're doing a bench press, if you're doing a squat, if you're doing jumping jacks or mountain climbers, like do the exercise in complete form without having to, chat up a storm and then take a break every 10 seconds. If you're doing, let's say you're at a big box gym and you're doing a set of bench press and you're talking as you're doing the reps, well, that shit's not heavy enough. You shouldn't be able to have a full conversation as you're doing the workout, right? You should be focusing on the exercise at hand, and then you can talk it and stuff if you want in between the exercise, but then next exercise, get back to work, right? Like I like to say it, and which Nick usually laughs at it, but it's my funny way of kind of explaining it. It's like, think of it like when you come into the gym, in any gym, you put your hard hat on, you punch your time card in, and you go to work, right? So, but I hope that helped a little bit. Katya, is it good to work out 2 hours a day? I mean, it's not that it's good or that it's bad. Again, it depends on the workout, and it also depends on your fitness level, right? If your body can do it, by all means. But is it a necessity? I would say, is it a necessity? No, right? But realize if you're working out 2 hours in a day, especially, because when you come here and if you are working out 2 hours here, like you're burning a lot of calories. So you just got to make sure that you're adjusting your nutrition to follow suit, because at a certain point, your first energy system essentially is going to be carbs, right? And your glucose and everything drops after 30 minutes. And then your body transitions to your fat burning energy, essentially, which is, going to be that longer time span, which is basically anything after 30 minutes. But now you have to think like a marathon runner that's, running for a few hours. What are they doing during their workout? Right? They're taking those little gel packs. They're taking, salt tabs, because you're sweating, you're breaking down muscle. So if you're overworking in that sense, realize that overworking isn't a bad thing, right? It's not like I'm using the word right now because that's what a lot of people say. Oh, if you work out more than an hour, like you're overtraining. No, you're not. If your body can do it, then do it. Right? That's fine. But just make sure that your recovery that is following and is suitable for what you're doing, right? The one thing I will say, though, is I had a conversation with the client the other day about this, because she told me, she asked if she can basically start back on doing cardio. She would do an hour to 2 hours of cardio, or an hour to hour and a half of cardio on top of like her working out. And it was in regards to, weight loss, and a dramatic weight loss at that. And so I said, yes. And then she said, but you said it was bad. And I said it was bad for you at the time. Right. And what I had to explain to her at the time, or when I talked to her this week about it, was that it's not the act of doing the cardio for that long that was bad. It was the mental aspect behind her doing the cardio. It became an unhealthy obsession that needed to be done, or else everything else went out of whack for the day. And, you basically kind of give up on the day. Right. And if you're tying something into being so obsessed about it in terms of like, it has to be done, and now it's like almost like an OCD, well, then you might need to shift your alignment on what you're doing. Right. Is this something that you can do for, let's say, the rest of your life, right? Or for the next, year, 2 years, 3 years, and it be okay for your schedule, right? For example, let's say a crash diet, right? With our challenge, this is one of the things that we talk about with our members. We do an 11-week challenge. We don't do a 6-week. We don't do a 4-week or 8-week, because a lot of other boot camps and stuff like that do that. And I know it's cool, but at the same time, like, it's not enough time to build the habits that you need to sustain what you've done for the last, 11 weeks with us, right? With us, with the 11 weeks, like you've done this for a long time. You've had good weeks, you've had bad weeks, you've had good days and bad days. You, I'm sure, encountered a birthday or two or a holiday party at work, right? And that's what we want. We want you to end up falling off and having to get back on and realizing that that's the journey. Anyone could be good for a weekend. Anyone could be good for, even a couple weeks. 11 weeks, almost 3 months. That's a long time to stay committed. So if you're able to stay committed that entire time, that's amazing, right? That's where you want to get to the mental point. But at the same time, if you fall off, even if you have a cheat meal or something, realize that not all is lost. You get back on, like you still have the rest of the day, eat cleaner, make up for it, right? You had ice cream and you weren't supposed to have ice cream, well, guess what? Take out some of the carbs in the day or all the rest of your carbs in the day, right? Just eat protein and, try to get your macros as close as possible. You can still adjust as you go. And then when you wake up the next day and it's Wednesday or Thursday, well, you don't have to start back on Monday. I hate when people say, well, I'm going to start on Monday. It's like, why? Why? There's 72 hours until Monday. Start now, right? Like, why wait until Monday? If something happens next week, then what are you going to do? Wait until the next Monday? Well, guess what? Now you're in September. You have the same New Year's resolution as you did last year. Stick to it. Start. You mess up, that's okay. Realize it. Be self-accountable. Admit to yourself that you messed up and be like, look, I'm going to do this next time this happens. Set a plan for yourself, right? But going back into that unhealthy obsession that we were talking about is like, it was one of the things where I knew that if I said yes, go for the cardio at that moment, it was one of those things where she would have done it 7 days a week, rain or shine, which is okay, but it was a must. It had to be done versus her wanting to do it because of her goals, right? It's almost like, honestly, I can't even think of another, like, I don't want to use the one I'm thinking right now, but I'm going to. It's almost like you want to lose weight so bad that you'll do anything in terms of like eating disorders and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we try to stay away from. So obviously it's not an eating disorder by doing the cardio like that, but it's almost a different kind of mental disorder that can be created. So going into like your question, Katia, like if you're working out 2 hours because that's the only thing you can do, and if you don't have 2 hours and you're skipping your workout, then you have to realize that that's a mental hurdle that you need to overcome, right? And I know this isn't the case for you because I've been in here all week and I've seen you do 2 hour workout. I've seen you do an hour workout. I've seen you do what you can, right? But realize that you don't need to always do a 2 hour workout. If you can, and your body permits it in terms of like the workout is cool to keep going, then yeah, go for it, right? Recover afterwards and do everything afterwards. But just because you don't have 2 hours tomorrow doesn't mean you don't get to skip it, right? That's the unhealthy obsession I'm trying to eliminate by talking about it right now. I'm going to ignore Nick in the comments because, I'm just kidding. Nick said, do you miss me? No, man, I want you to have fun. We always miss each other. It's all love. Get off the Mindset Cafe Live and go enjoy your vacation. Nick's mad right now because I changed the password to the meal plan app, so he can't work. I try to eliminate some of his work because he's like me, and I already knew that he'd be trying to snake in some extra work over there and try to help me out. But I told him I got it over here, so I told him I'm not giving him the password until he gets back from vacation. So, that's it. That's how it is. And I said this in the beginning of the podcast. That's how a business partnership is, right? Some weeks it's 50-50, some weeks it's 60-40, some it's 90-10. But at the end of the day, we are always committed to each other, just like you guys should be committed to your goals, just like you guys are committed to your partners or whatever the case is. So yes, Nick, I miss you, but go fucking enjoy your vacation. Deco says the 11-week challenge was transformational. What Nat and I realized how disciplined we were throughout the process. It was amazing what you can achieve with commitment and discipline. 100%. Deco, how are you going to talk about all this discipline and stuff? And then your next comment going into, Nick, don't forget to bring back Hawaiian cookies. They're located on every corner. You know, but no, definitely, Nick, all I'm saying is if you brought back some chocolate macadamians, I wouldn't be mad. You know, I'll count them into my macros. No, 100% though, Deco, going into like, it is like the challenge, the 11-week challenge is transformational if you put in the work. We have some people that sign up that honestly, it's awesome that you sign up, but at the same point, if you're just signing up to sign up, I had this conversation with someone, that's why I'm bringing it up, because this person that I'm not going to name any names, but they signed up, them and their partners signed up basically for all the three of the challenges that we've had, since we've started doing the 11-week challenges. And week 1, awesome. Then they dropped off on the first one. Second one came around, week 1, 2, 3, 4, solid. Then again, stop coming into the gym, stop working out, stop eating clean, do all that stuff. So it's like, if you commit to yourself and you're doing a challenge, it is a challenge. Yes, it is tough, but you have to be willing to do the work. Just signing up isn't enough. We give you the meal plans, right? We give you, or even if you're on your fitness journey, I don't want to just tie this to the challenge, but if you have all the tools being given to you, if you have an advisor, if you have a mentor, if you have a coach, and they're giving you the fucking tools to get your results and you're not utilizing them, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money on the coach, on the advisor. We hired a franchise advisor. We paid him a lot of money. But at the same time, every time I went into that meeting with them, I brought a notebook. I took notes. And then when I went home, that notebook didn't just go back in like a corner. I literally started doing the work. And that's why we were able to launch the franchise within 6 months, right? With majority of the systems in place, right? And he was like, man, this is the first time a client has actually launched, their a franchise officially within less than a year. I was like, really? I was like, how long does it take people? He's like, it usually takes anywhere from a year to 2 years. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, because people, do a little bit today and then do a little bit next week and then a little bit. And I was like, no, I literally just locked in. Nick had to lock in on the gym. And we literally just spent 6 months grinding, right? But that was our goal, was to launch, right? And nothing stood in our way of getting that done. So you have to realize that just because you sign up for the challenge, right? We have like 30 or 40 people sign up for the challenge. Just because you sign up for the challenge, that doesn't mean you're going to get the results. If you follow the meal plans and you do the workouts, you're going to see results. It is scientifically proven to be impossible not to see results if you do those things, right? So when you weigh in next time and all of a sudden your scale hasn't moved, I know that you have not followed the meal plans. You can't tell me otherwise, right? I know you haven't been working out. One, I can see your check-ins. Our trainers can see your check-ins, right? We could see your heart rate, history with the heart rate belts. You have to realize that just because you have all the tools, if you don't utilize the tools, then you're not going to get what you want. You can wish for it, you can hope for it, you can dream for it. But if you want to make it reality, then you got to put your big boy or big girl pants on and do the fucking work. It's as simple as that. I don't care how you feel. I don't care that you had a bad day. I don't care that, you don't feel like it. I don't care that you have, a huge project at work. Do you want your goals? Do you want to be a successful entrepreneur? Do you want to have your dream body? Do you want, you can have all these wants, but how bad do you really want it? Right? Yes, I will listen to your problems in person. Yes, I want to answer questions here. But at the same time, just because I give you the answers, if you're not going to do anything about it, don't come back with that same problem. And then when I ask you about it, then you're like, well, I haven't done that yet. It's like, well, then fucking go do the first answer. I could tell you 10 different ways and 10 different things, but if you're not going to take action on any of them, then what's the point? Right? That's the crazy thing. Is like, if you don't actually take action, as easy as it is, someone that has done it already, right? Someone that knows the knowledge gives you the knowledge. it's almost like laughable when you don't just take the knowledge. You're like, look, this is a proven system. If I just do the things they did to get there, in theory, I will get there too, or close to it, or, past it. But some people will, one, just not do it, or be like, okay, cool. And they have this collection of all this knowledge. Or two, they're like, you know what? That's not going to work for me. How do you know? You haven't tried it. You haven't done it for long enough. You ate clean for one day. You ate clean for 1 week. You lost 1 pound. Maybe you didn't lose a pound. Maybe your body was adjusting because your metabolism was so low and so slow, right? You haven't done it long enough to let your body, to let your results start to show and start to speak. It takes time in anything in life, right? So if you're not willing to put in that time, then at the end of the day, you're not willing to get your goal. Plain and simple. Sorry to be blunt about it, but that's just how it is. You want your goal, do the work. I don't care how you feel. Your goals don't care how you feel. You want that goal, do your work. Right? It's like I said in the beginning of the podcast, and I know other people have, a bunch of people have tuned in since then. So it's like, this live episode wasn't even going to happen, right? At first, because I didn't feel like it. It happens to me. It happens to Nick. I've talked about this. Nick has talked about this. We are no different than you guys. I don't feel like getting up every day and doing the grind of entrepreneurship. But do I do it? Yes. And do I do it with my full ability? Yes. Does Nick do the same? Yes. And that's why our company has been growing. And do we stay committed to our fitness? Yes, because we know that we are walking billboards because we have a fitness business. Right? And if we didn't, then it's like, how are we going to preach to do all these things and then not do it ourselves? So that even with this live episode, I couldn't do it last night because of scheduling, but I could have as easily just skipped it for the whole weekend. But at the same time, how am I going to preach accountability and adaptability and all these other things, and then me skip it and not be adaptable and not make it work? Right? So at the end of the day, your excuses are bullshit, to be honest. If there is a will, there is a way. I promise you that. Are you willing to find the way? Are you willing to find the solution? Are you willing to ask someone for the solution or the answer or a hint at the right direction? Because that's what's going to separate you from the people that have actually seen success. Patty, you're not allowed. Patty said, please and thank you for those cookies. Patty, you're not allowed to eat cookies. We just talked about this. And then I love all the cookies got your attention. Oh, that's hilarious. Geraldine said, and if you sign up and you don't do the things you got to do, the only person that you're disappointing is yourself. 1000%, right? I remember a comment that honestly, it didn't bug me or anything, but it took a lot not for me to not like correct the person and like give them the self-realization at that moment, because sometimes I am a little just too straightforward, right? And not everyone responds the best to that. But the end of last challenge, I remember someone saying that one of the winners won because of whatever reason they gave. And our challenge, unlike a lot of other challenges, it's not a popularity contest. It's not a fat loss thing where every pound is a point. No. Our challenge is based off of percentage of change. Anyone can win, right? It's basically what is the change? What is the percentage of change from your start point to your 11-week point? One of the winners of our challenge last time, she was one of the leanest people coming into the challenge, right? And so she at first wasn't going to sign up. And then she was like, well, I'm already lean. Like she had a 6-pack already, right? And she was like, is this even going to be worth it for me? Like, is this, like, I don't have a lot of fat to lose. I was like, it's not a fat loss contest, right? And she ended up winning, I think, 2nd or 3rd place. And her fat loss wasn't even as crazy in terms of pounds, but because for every 1 pound that she lost, it might have been 5, 10, 15 pounds to someone else, because it's the percentage of change in body fat, percentage of change in muscle, and it's the overall percentage of change in your body composition as a whole, right? So it was just funny that, the one person was like, oh, it's, because of this, this, and this. It's like, no, like we have all the stats and we give all the stats, all the challenges. Everyone gets to see the numbers. Numbers don't lie. And then looking back and seeing the person that made the comment would come in, do some workouts, not do some workouts, hang out, chill. And it's like, well, you thought you won, but you didn't, because you didn't do the work. You didn't eat the food, right? Or you ate more food than you were supposed to eat, right? It's plain and simple. You follow the plan, you get the results, just like a lot of things in life. And so at the end of the day, like, you could be upset with, us, but you're the one that has to do the work. I can't run for you. I can't work out for you. Believe me, if that was a job in a business, shit, I would do it. I love working out. If there was a business where I could work out and someone else loses weight, like, I would spend all day in the gym doing it. Right? But that's not a thing. So you have to fucking do the work if you want to get the results in anything in life. And if you don't, well, then look in the mirror. Right? If you have the tools and people are giving you the tools and you decide not to use them and you're upset at them because you don't have the results, you could shift your blame to external forces all you want, people and things and, things that come up, whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that you have to blame, right? You are the reason where you are in life. I learned a lot from participating. Miriam says, I learned a lot from participating in the last 2 challenges. Thanks to Evan and Nick. Yeah, see, I mean, and the habits that you built, like, I can say firsthand, like, I've seen them, right? Like, you built so many habits. Just because you didn't, let's say, just because someone doesn't win the challenge doesn't mean they haven't won, right? First, second, third place is just a little, a little prize and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the challenge is there to instill and build these habits, right? And so after the challenge, if you fall back off, did you really win the challenge? Did you really win? Right? Or if those habits have instilled and have really laid ground in your life and you continue to progress afterwards, that's winning. That you have won the challenge in your own right? You actually learned from the challenge. You're continuing to grow from the challenge, right? The challenge was just the initial, boost to get you going. That's what it's meant for, right? That's why we don't run it all the time. It's only ran twice a year, right? It's only meant to be a little bump, a little kick in the butt. Deco says, I'm bummed I didn't make the top 3 on the challenge, but I did finish 4th. He lost 23 pounds and he was down 10% body fat. More importantly, it motivated and inspired those around us to make a positive change. See, I mean, that's awesome, right? I mean, it's competitive, right? But at the same time, like, that's a win. That's a win in my book. Losing 23 pounds, 10% body fat in 11 weeks, like, that's awesome. And I know you've kept it off because I've seen you. Like, you were just at the dodgeball thing that we played, right? So it's like, those are the things, like the habits that you're building and then the ripple effect that you're having on other people's lives. That's the important aspect, right? It's, yeah, like, Deco, let's call a spade a spade. It is what it is, right? And he said, Deco says Devin is raw. Honestly, and it's not a front. You could ask any of my team. You could ask Nick. This is me. Some people like it, some people don't. If you don't like it, I don't care, to be honest, right? Obviously in the gym and stuff, it's a little bit, toned down and it's a little more upbeat. But at the same time, like, I am still straightforward. And that's what you have to realize, that in your life, in your own, like, personal life too, like, be who you are, be authentic, right? I don't just cuss, and you'll hear those people that when they say fuck, it sounds weird, right? If you're doing things that feels weird when you do it, it probably seems weird to other people too, right? And so realize, be you, but also realize that you can change because you want to change. You want to, be a CEO. You want to be a fitness model. You can do it. Maybe not right this second, but you can start building the habits to do it. A year, 2 years, 3 years ago, like, was I the entrepreneur that I am now? No. Am I going to be the same person in 5 years? No. I'm going to improve. I'm going to learn new things. I'm going to improve my skills as a leader. I'm going to improve my skills as in every area. Same thing with fitness. Same thing in your life. Are you going to be this? And this is a deciding factor for you. Are you going to be the same person next year or 5 years or 10 years that you are today? And I hope the answer is no, right? Do I hope that you're, obviously still caring and all those kind of things? Yes, obviously. But what I mean is your personal development journey. Is your journey stopped today? Did it stop a year ago? Or is it always continuing to progress forward? Because personal development, there is no end destination, right? Me and Nick talked about this on a previous episode. With entrepreneurship, with fitness, with personal development, like you can't look at it as, let's say, an 11-week challenge. It doesn't end after 11 weeks. It's an infinite game, right? When you're looking at it, when you look at the horizon, there is no end. There's no end to the horizon, just like there's no end to your journey. You just keep moving forward. There's always another step you can take to become better. There's always an area that can improve. You always have an area that's weaker than another area, right? So realizing that allows you to improve. If you think you're the best that you can be, well, then your journey has now stopped and you are in a cocky mentality or you're in a complacent mentality, right? Depending on the person. And if that's okay with you, then okay. But don't bring forward the problems and the goals that you're not achieving because you're not willing to change and make sacrifice to do so, right? Patty says, one day I'll work it in my meal plan, referring to the cookie. Leave the cookies alone, Patty. And then, Geraldine says the challenge is still a you versus you, 100%. We have a you versus you challenge. That's a free challenge. It's on our website and everything like that. But also, like the 11-week challenge, yes, you're competing against other people, but at the end of the day, it is you versus you. Just like life is you versus you. You can't compare it to other people because comparison is the thief of joy, right? Just because someone is moving faster than you doesn't mean you're not moving. Doesn't mean you're not getting better. They may be moving faster right now, but who's to say if you keep going in the way you're going that you're not going to be moving faster than they are in a year, in 2 years, 5 years, right? Do they have the grit and the willpower that you have, that you're building continuously day after day, as Nick likes to say, brick after brick, right? So with that being said, it's like, make sure you're actually doing the work. Cranky says, just hurt my shoulder while doing incline dumbbell bench press. How can I maintain strength and go about my training? So great question. With that, if you hurt your shoulder doing incline dumbbell bench press, one, I would say be careful on dumbbells, right? It's cool to use heavy weights. It's cool to use, those kind of things when you're lifting in the gym. But at the end of the day, like, again, it's a you versus you thing. If you're just lifting more to lift more than the person next to you, like, you're in the wrong mindset, right? So be careful on that, first off. Second, realize that you can still do other things. Like if pressing upwards hurts, you can still try to do some form of lateral raises or go with lighter resistance bands and still do reverse flies, attach a little bit higher, do the range of motions that you can do, and take it light, give your shoulder to recover. But just because you have an injury necessarily doesn't mean you have to stop it completely unless, basically you've broken something or dislocated something or torn something. Right. But realize that when you do have an injury, right, and it's one of those things where you're going to want to try to push and just push through that pain and just because you've hit a new level of strength. If you hit an injury, realize that you might lose a little bit of strength in the recovery process. And that's okay, because once you're fully recovered, then you can go back to it and you'll progress up, right? Success, like in any area, it's a little spike, right? It goes up and up and down and up and down. So realize that this recovery just means, this injury just takes you on a little down phase, but then once you're recovered or starting to recover, then you're going to go higher than you were before, right? And when you realize that your strength, your success is not always a straight line up, it starts to alleviate some of that, right? So I would say, honestly, take the time to let your shoulder recover so that you can work on your strength at full speed again. But at the same time, in the meantime, at least do the things or the movement patterns that you can do. If it only hurts to press up, does it hurt to press? Does it hurt to go back? Does it hurt to go forward? Right? Does it hurt to press forward? All those kind of things. There's different movement patterns, different ways you could still work out your shoulders. I would say do the things that are still comfortable and allow your shoulders to still develop in other areas, but also the supporting muscles. But don't just full on give up on working out, right? That would be my advice on that one. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys in the comments. And like always, make sure you guys share this episode with a friend. Make sure you guys tell, like when we have these Friday Night Lives, guys, make sure you guys let people know. We appreciate it. And honestly, it would help us out. We don't run ads or anything on the show. We've had some people, tell us that we should start running ads on the show, and that's not why we do it. Right. So we do appreciate you guys hopping on and spending the time with us. But when we do post the live countdown stuff, if you guys can, reshare that to your story or, tell a friend, that's all we ask. So we appreciate you guys. We love y'all. See you guys on the next one. Peace.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Cause in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slacking. I hustle hard, I go against the current. Cause I know my